They lied to you. From the moment you could make sense of love, they sold you a fantasy that women are soft, nurturing, selfless creatures who will love you unconditionally. That once you find the one, she'll complete you, heal you, save you. They told you that her love would be sacred, that her presence would be a reward for your goodness. But what if I told you the truth was much more complicated and much more uncomfortable? Not because women are wrong, not because love is broken, but because what we believe about both is a beautiful lie we keep telling ourselves to avoid looking inward. And what if the pain you feel isn't because women deceive, but because you were never ready to truly see them? This video is not for the faint-hearted. By the end, you'll either hate what I'm about to say, or you'll walk away with a deeper understanding of women, relationships, and yourself than you've ever had before. And if you're ready to confront these emotional truths, not to blame or judge, but to finally heal, then welcome. This is what we do here on Emotional Relationship. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe right now, because what we're about to uncover could change the way you see love forever. From the very beginning, you were taught to believe in a dream. You grew up watching movies where the guy wins the girl, and somehow everything becomes okay. You listened to songs that told you love would save you, heal you, make you whole. You saw the way people talked about women as if they were magical beings untouched by the flaws of the world, as if their love was always purer, softer, safer. And somewhere deep inside, you believed it. You believed that the right woman would finally fix the broken pieces of your heart, that her touch would soothe the chaos inside you, that her smile would make all the emptiness disappear. You believed in the myth that love, especially her love, would be your reward for being good, for being kind, for being there. But reality, it rarely follows the script, because what you thought was love was often just need in disguise, a desperate hunger for validation wrapped in poetic words. You didn't want her. You wanted what she made you feel, wanted, admired, chosen. She became your mirror, and when she smiled at you, you felt like you mattered. But the moment she pulled away, when she left, when she stopped texting, when her warmth turned cold, your world shattered, not because you lost her, but because you lost the illusion of yourself you had tied to her presence. And this is the quiet tragedy most men live through without ever understanding it. They think their pain is about her, but the real heartbreak is always about them. It's about realizing that they made someone else the judge of their worth, the keeper of their emotions, the savior of their stories. They didn't fall in love with a person. They fell in love with the idea of being enough in someone's eyes. But here's the raw truth. No woman can give you what you're not willing to give yourself. Not peace, not validation, not worth. When you make her your source of happiness, you hand her power she never asked for. You make her responsible for your joy. And that's too much weight for any love to carry. And yet, she knows, yes, even if she never says it, she can feel when you look at her, not with affection, but with emotional hunger. She can sense the weight of your expectations in your silence. She can tell when your love is more about you than about her. And that's when everything starts to shift. That's when her warmth becomes cautious. Her texts get shorter, her presence starts to feel distant, not because she's cruel, but because something inside her whispers, "This man doesn't see me. He only sees what I represent." And if that doesn't break your heart, it should, because every time you fall in love without knowing who you are first, you end up falling into someone, not with them. But it doesn't have to stay this way. You don't have to live a life where love becomes a performance, where your worth depends on how desired you are. You don't have to chase affection like it's oxygen, desperate, breathless, and endless. You can unlearn the lie. You can build yourself from the inside out. A man who gives love freely, but never abandons himself in the process. Because the truth is, women aren't your escape. They're not your rescue, your reward, or your redemption. They're human, just like you, with flaws, desires, fears, and dreams. And if you want real love, love that lasts, it has to begin with this. You have to stop needing her to make you feel whole and start becoming whole enough to truly see her. Not as a fantasy, but as a woman. Let's be honest. For centuries, men built kingdoms with bricks and blood. They wrote their legacy in wars, in power, in ambition. They measured success in gold, in land, in dominance. But while men were mastering the outside world, women were mastering something far more subtle, far more powerful, the world of emotions, not by choice, but by survival. See, history never handed women the sword, so they sharpened their intuition instead. They learned to navigate emotions like warriors, reading faces, sensing motives, adapting to protect their hearts. While men sought to control the world, women learned how to influence it from the inside. And that's the game most men still don't see. They mistake kindness for weakness. They think softness means surrender. They assume that when a woman cries or listens or leans into love, she's giving up her power. But here's the truth. She's not giving up anything. She's choosing how to move because she knows something you don't. Real influence doesn't always speak. It observes. It understands. And then it acts when it matters most. Think about it. Who really decides how fast a relationship moves? Who controls the temperature of connection, the rhythm of intimacy, the pulse of commitment? It's not just you. And if you've ever felt confused when a woman pulled away without explanation, or sensed that the emotional energy between you shifted overnight, then you've already felt it. Her emotional power isn't loud, it's strategic. She doesn't conquer, she invites conquest. And that's what makes it so devastatingly effective. Because while you were busy trying to protect her, she was learning how to read you like a book. She noticed the tension in your shoulders when you doubted yourself. She felt the silence between your sentences when you were scared to express your truth. She picked up on your patterns. What made you chase, what made you hesitate, what made you surrender. Not because she's manipulative, but because emotion is her language, her instinct, her shield, her sword. It's how she survives. And sometimes, how she tests. And here's the dangerous part for most men. They don't know they're being tested until it's too late. They confuse silence for confusion. When it's actually clarity, they think distance means she's uncertain, when it often means she's already decided. You see, the most heartbreaking part isn't that women are more emotionally intelligent. It's that they often have to use that intelligence just to feel safe in love. She's not analyzing you because she wants to dominate. She's analyzing you because she needs to know, can I trust him with my heart and still keep myself? And if the answer is no, she pulls away, even if it hurts her too. Because at the end of the day, a woman's strength doesn't lie in how deeply she loves. It lies in her ability to walk away when she's no longer seen for who she is, only used for what she gives. So if you've ever wondered why a woman's coldness cuts so deep, it's because she once burned for you. And when a woman stops burning, she doesn't beg. She rebuilds, quietly, fiercely, without warning. And all you're left with is the echo of the warmth you took for granted. Here's a question no one wants to ask. Do you really love her? Or do you just love the way she makes you feel? It's a painful question. but a necessary one. Because what most men call devotion isn't love. It's addiction. Addiction to being wanted, to being chosen, to feeling like you finally matter to someone. You say you'd do anything for her. You send flowers. You stay up late for every call. You say yes even when it costs you peace. You show up again and again, even when she disappears. And you call it love. But deep down, if you're honest, you're afraid. Afraid of losing the only thing that makes you feel enough. Afraid of being alone with the version of yourself you haven't accepted. Afraid that without her, there's nothing left to validate your worth. That's not love. That's neediness wrapped in romance. And it's exactly the kind of energy that quietly pushes women away. Because while you're thinking your devotion is proof of your loyalty, she's sensing something else. A man who's willing to lose himself just to keep her close. And the moment a woman feels that her affection is no longer a connection, but a crutch, something inside her begins to retreat. Because real attraction doesn't grow from desperation. It grows from presence, from self-respect, from being a man who can love deeply without losing his balance. And that's the paradox of love. The more you chase her approval, the less of it you get. The more you make her your purpose, the more invisible you become. Because no woman wants to carry the weight of being your emotional oxygen. She wants to breathe with you, not for you. So here's the truth that hurts. She's not your reward, not your savior, not the soft answer to your inner chaos. She's a mirror, and the reflection she offers will either show you your strength or expose your emptiness. If you feel shattered when she pulls away, it's not because she broke you. It's because you were already cracked, and she was just holding the pieces together. This is where most men fall, not because they didn't love hard enough, but because they never built anything inside themselves strong enough to survive without her. But this isn't the end. It can be your beginning. The moment you stop needing love to feel whole and start becoming the kind of man who's already whole before love even arrives. A man who loves not to fill a void, but to share a fullness. That's what women respect. That's what awakens real desire. Not a man who begs for love, but one who chooses it from a place of quiet strength. And when you become that man, you'll no longer fear her leaving, because you'll know that even if she goes, you will never abandon yourself again. He doesn't always speak or test out loud. She doesn't say, "Prove to me you're strong." She doesn't declare, "Show me I can trust you." But she's watching, not with judgment, but with instinct. You see, a woman's tests aren't cruel. They're ancient. They're unconscious checks to see if the man in front of her is real, or just a projection, not real in muscles, money, or words, but in how he responds to pressure, to silence, to uncertainty, to her emotional shifts. And this is where most men lose the game, without even knowing they were being tested. When she pulls away after a disagreement, when she goes quiet after a vulnerable moment, when she doesn't reply for hours, you panic, you reach for your phone, you double text, you ask, "Did I do something wrong?" You try to fix it, not because you're strong, but because you can't bear the space she's created. But what if I told you that space wasn't punishment? It was invitation, an invitation to stand still, to show her you're not moved by storms, to show her that you won't dissolve into need the moment she becomes unpredictable. Because here's what most men don't understand. Her silence isn't always absence. Sometimes it's listening. She wants to know, without asking, do you spiral when you're uncertain? Do you chase when you feel insecure? Or can you hold your center like a grounded tree, unshaken by emotional wind? When you chase her in those moments, she sees fear. When you wait with calm strength, She sees leadership, not control, not arrogance, but emotional maturity. And that, more than your words, makes her feel safe. It's not about playing games. It's about showing her through your stillness that your love isn't desperate. It's steady, solid, rooted. That if she pulls away, she's not dragging your soul behind her. That you can want her deeply, but not need her to survive. Because love isn't proven in grand gestures. It's proven in how you show up when you feel unseen. And here's the wild truth. Even when she's testing you, she wants you to pass. She doesn't want to withdraw. She doesn't want to question your strength. She doesn't want to lose the feeling of safety she craves beside you. But if you fail the test, if you collapse into emotional chaos, you force her to become the emotional leader. And that's when desire quietly dies. She doesn't want to mother you. She wants to meet you. So the next time she goes silent, don't rush in with panic. Sit with it. Stand tall. Trust yourself. Because how you handle those quiet moments, that's when she decides whether she's dealing with a boy who needs her validation or a man who already carries his own. You were told that love should be unconditional, that no matter what you do, no matter who you become, someone out there will love you just the same. That a woman will accept your flaws, hold you in your worst, and never ask you to change. That real love means never being tested, never being challenged, never being held accountable. But let's tell the truth. That version of love, it's a fantasy. And believing in it is exactly what's keeping you stuck. Because here's the brutal reality no one wants to admit. Love is not unconditional, at least not the kind that lasts. Women don't fall for your potential. They don't fall for your promises. They fall for who you are moment by moment and whether who you are aligns with what you say. They fall for your congruence, for your truth, for your ability to live your values, not just speak them. Because at the heart of every romantic connection is a question she's asking silently. Can I respect this man? Not, can I rescue him? Not, can I change him? But can I look at him and trust that who he is will only deepen with time? And if the answer is no, if your words outpace your actions, if your confidence is a costume, if your softness turns to spinelessness, then something inside her begins to fade, slowly, quietly, without announcement. Because desire doesn't die in arguments. It dies in inconsistency. She starts to feel like your love is a performance. And once she feels that, she can never unsee it. Here's what most nice guys get wrong. They think kindness means compliance. They think love means being agreeable. They think if they keep giving, they'll eventually be good enough to stay. But that's not love. That's negotiation. And she feels it. She feels the pressure of your gifts. She feels the quiet scorekeeping behind your selflessness. She feels the fear beneath your affection, the desperation to be accepted. And nothing kills intimacy faster than a man who doesn't believe he's enough without proving it every second. So what's the alternative? Become the man who doesn't need unconditional love because he gives himself unconditional respect. The man who can look in the mirror and say, I won't abandon who I am to win someone's affection. The man who can love a woman fully, but walk away the moment she asks him to shrink to keep her. Because here's the paradox. The more you respect yourself, the more she respects you. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. And that's the only kind of love that lasts. Not love without condition, but love built on character. A woman may be drawn to your charm, but she stays for your truth. And if you're not standing in it, if you're bending to be chosen, then you were never really loved. You were just temporarily tolerated. So stop chasing unconditional love. Start living unconditional alignment. And watch what kind of woman shows up when you finally stop chasing and start becoming. There comes a moment in every man's journey when he faces a choice between chasing love or chasing himself. Most choose love, not real love, but the idea of it, the fantasy of finding someone who will make everything okay, someone to finally silence the inner war, soothe the ache, and fill the silence they've never dared to sit with. They say things like, if I just find the right woman, I'll feel alive. If I just get her back, I'll feel like a man again. If I can win her love, maybe I'll start loving myself too. But that's backwards, because the truth no one teaches you is this: the more you make love your purpose, the further it runs from you. You cannot build your life around a person and expect that life to stand tall. You cannot make your worth dependent on her admiration and expect her to admire you. You cannot ask a woman to complete a man who hasn't yet met himself. Women feel that. They feel when they're being made the center of your identity. And while it may feel romantic at first, it eventually feels heavy. Too much to carry, too much to hold, too much to fix. But when a man starts chasing something deeper, when his life is anchored in purpose, not performance, everything changes. He no longer waits for her validation. He no longer begs for her attention. He no longer fears her silence. Why? Because his core is no longer exposed. It's rooted in something no one can give or take away. And ironically, that's when women begin to notice. That's when they lean in. Not because you need them, but because you become undeniable. Because your energy speaks before your words do. Because your confidence no longer comes from being wanted, but from walking your own path. Because your presence feels like gravity, steady, unmoved, whole. You don't chase women, you attract them. Not with tricks, not with tactics, but with truth. You've become a man who's sovereign, a man who lives from his center, a man whose life has meaning, with or without a lover beside him. And that's what the feminine craves most. Not a man who controls her, not a man who performs for her, but a man who leads himself. That's what allows love to flow, freely, passionately, and without fear. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. So here's your new compass. Stop living for love. Start living from purpose. Let love be the flame that dances beside you, not the fire you crawl toward in the dark. Because the man who burns from within never needs to beg for warmth. If you've made it this far, take a deep breath. Because what we just uncovered wasn't easy, not for the heart, not for the ego, and definitely not for the version of you that's been quietly suffering under the weight of unspoken expectations. But this is where healing begins. Not in blaming women, not in fearing love, not in building walls around your heart, but in understanding the dance, the rhythm of masculine presence and feminine energy, the quiet truth that women don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be real. And the only way to be real is to stop looking outside yourself for permission to exist. You don't need her love to become whole. You don't need her approval to feel strong. You don't need her presence to prove your worth. You were never meant to chase love like it's the air you breathe. You were meant to become the man who breathes life into his world, with or without applause. So from this moment forward, stop living like love is something you have to earn by erasing yourself. Start living like your love is a gift, not a request. And when you do, the right kind of woman will see it. Not because you shouted louder, but because you stood taller. That's the journey we're on here at Emotional Relationship. To unlearn the lies, to reclaim our power, to love deeper, not from weakness, but from wisdom. If this message moved something inside you, if it made you think, feel, even hurt a little, then that's the beginning of change. So before you go, click subscribe. Join this growing space of emotionally honest men and women, because every week we dive deep into the truth behind modern love, not to destroy romance, but to rebuild it stronger, wiser, realer. And remember this: you don't attract who you want, you attract who you are. So become the flame and let everything that's meant for you find its way to your fire. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay whole, and I'll see you in the next one.